All right. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I know this is, we're in this like transition phase, I think, where people are getting out and about more. In fact, after this, I'm actually going to 2 art openings in real life, in the physical world, outside of like the digital. So, but I mean, this is like one of the reasons we do this is, I don't know a lot of you. There's a few I know, but I don't know a lot of you. And so it's like I'm finding new art. And I'm sure Michelle feels the same way, and meeting new artists. And I couldn't have done that just, my little space in Los Angeles. And so, or, I don't want to say little, but you know what I mean? It's like, I love cafe for that actually, because, it reaches larger audiences. And so we can, you know, meet new artists, and even Instagram isn't like that, in a way. So I'm just really, excited for all of you to be here. And I love these artist talks. I love artist talks better than artist receptions because, yeah, it's fun. You can socialize with your friends, but I love hearing about the art, hearing about the process and, the stories behind the art and things like that. So that's why I love this, because we can share the work and it's like, all the artists get a little presentation. If you don't know, you're gonna, the artists that are here can talk about their work for, a couple of minutes. And, yeah, just tell about your process and stuff like that. I should introduce myself. I am, and I should rename myself too. I am Christine Shoemaker, and I started Shoebox Arts and Shoebox Projects. And I also run Art and Cake, which is an online art magazine. We review exhibitions and do artist profiles. And I have my degree in art history, and I'm an artist and I love art. I'm all in. So, I just wanted to be immersed in the community, and, I love everything that artists do. And so I'm really happy to be able to work with artists and support them. So Shoebox Projects is, I live at the Brewery. It's an art community near downtown LA. And the way my space is laid out, I have a space that's probably, I don't know, 15 by 15 feet that I turned into an art gallery about, when was it, 5-6 years ago? And so we were doing residencies where the artists would use the space as like a studio space for 3 weeks, and then they'd have a show of the work they created at the end. I also turned my broom closet into a gallery, so that was really fun. Artists would submit proposals for that, and we would have the 2, opening receptions, simultaneously, and it was great. And then the pandemic hit. So, and we were doing some online things before that, but we just decided, now's the opportunity to grow our audience, to meet new artists. And so we decided to do online exhibitions. And that actually, the idea came up. I had an idea. I collect artists in a way. I mean, I collect art, but on social media, if there's art and, art that I love, I like save the image and put it in a folder like artists to watch. And there's probably like 500-600 pieces in there now. And so I was noticing, and this was right at the beginning of the pandemic, I was just noticing how many artists I was seeing who used everyday objects in their work. Whether it was like recreating Tupperware cups out of resin, or using, carpeting for things, or, stuff like that. And so I started to put like another folder together of these artists, and I had an online exhibition of the work, and it was really cool. And so from that, we just started doing monthly solo exhibitions and group exhibitions, and yeah, and then we've only been using cafe for, this is like our 3rd exhibition maybe. And so, we're trying to keep the cost low, because like I said, I'm an artist too, and I don't like paying for things, and you shouldn't have to, pay for much. So it's really to cover, the cost of cafe and the prizes. And so, that's it. But yeah, no, like I said, I'm just excited that you're all here. So that's a little bit of background about Shoebox Arts and Shoebox Projects. Shoebox Arts is a support network for artists, and you can find that on our website too. But somebody else wants in. So yeah, with that, so telling stories, so actually the way this came about and us working with Michelle is Michelle's a client with Shoebox Arts. And through Shoebox Arts and through supporting artists, we wanted to help artists to see the behind the scenes of how a show is juried, and some of our artists have done it already, but especially using cafe and everything that it entails, because we talk a lot about rejection, we talk about like what goes into jurying and curating an exhibition. And so we thought that our artists, if they were open to it, if they wanted to, they could jury a show and to see like what it's like, to actually to go through the process. And I've juried shows through cafe, and sometimes I swear I'll never do it again because I hate having to turn people down. It's hard, because I love the work, but it just doesn't fit into my vision, or the work that is submitted in the show that I'm putting together. And, I think a lot of artists do understand it, but I get rejected. It's still hard to get rejections. And so I'm like, I don't know if I want to be that person on that side of on that side anymore. But so, we thought it would be a good experience, for our artists to get that. And hopefully Michelle will be able to talk about that too. But with that, sorry, I need to keep an eye on the waiting room. Michelle, do you want to go ahead and, jump in and kind of talk about the process of jurying and the exhibition, your ideas for the exhibition and stuff like that?
Sure. Should I introduce myself?
Yeah, yes.
I should say, but I'm Michelle Robinson. I'm an artist and animator living in Los Angeles. And I have had a personal studio practice for about 15 years or so. After taking a long hiatus to focus on my day job. And this is actually the second show I've juried. And the process is really interesting. I recommend it to everyone to have that experience. And I want to thank Shoebox Projects and Christine for inviting me to do this. When she first asked me, what I wanted to do, I came up with a couple of different ideas, different prompts, things I wanted to explore. And this idea of telling stories felt like something that could be really interesting and inclusive and broad. And I wanted to see what I would get, and how people would interpret that idea. And I do want to commend everybody who submitted their work for their commitment to the craft and their willingness to put their work forward. As Christine said, it takes courage and perseverance, keep entering juried shows. And so I wanted to honor that effort and really carefully consider each piece. And can I say how many there were? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
There was like 500 something pieces of art. So it was a lot to look at. And also, as Christine said, it was all amazing and I wanted to include all of it. So I had to make some decisions about what I wanted to put forward. And obviously the process of jurying a show, it necessarily requires you to make a judgment, which is inherently subjective, and it's filtered through, the experiences and the viewpoints of that one individual. So I didn't undertake it lightly, and I really did look at everything multiple times because I wanted to allow the work ample time to unfold and reveal itself to me. So like I said, the theme of the show is really wide open. And after looking through everything a couple of times, I decided I wanted to approach the curation with the intent of demonstrating the wide array of approaches to storytelling. I wanted to represent within the group all of the different ways people are telling stories now. And so, alongside that, I was looking for work that surprised me or challenged me or moved me in some way as a viewer. particularly work that created a connection between myself and the artist. I really did want to find some work where the materials itself told a story. And I think there's some good examples of that in this show, because I think materials have their own inherent storytelling properties. You know, and then of course, like the fundamentals, right? Composition, color, craftsmanship, all of that good stuff. And so I think in the end, what we have is this body of work that ranges from collage to photography to painting to needlework. You know, there's everything in there. And then, you know, within this 500 pieces that were submitted, I thought it was interesting to see that there were threads in the content that emerged that I could sort of pick out. You know, there was themes, there were color palettes, there were forms that I felt were repeated. And so as I was putting this group together, I pulled out some of those themes and connections that I saw in the work. And the arrangement in the website roughly follows that thinking. And so I saw, you know, depictions of domestic life, which is kind of the first group, and then bodies, including the abject body, coming of age, and then there's this kind of shift towards violence, either overt or implied, lament or mourning, and then memory. And then there were also concerns that kind of running throughout, even in each of those groups, about women's rights and social justice. And then I also found it interesting that quilt forms, even truly abstracted ones like the grid, sort of popped up multiple times. And there were also references to craft, and then the use of text within the image, you know, which is another kind of really direct way of telling a story. So to me, all of those overlapping ideas themselves told a story about what we're thinking about right now. And so the hope is that this grouping and this flow from piece to piece on the website creates some connections between those ideas, and hopefully create some conversation between the pieces. It's the one other thing I want to say. I mean, I want to congratulate everyone whose work is in the show. But I also, if anyone's here who submitted but didn't get in, to just encourage you to continue to share and submit your work, because on a different day with a different juror, or even with me on a different day, you know, the selection might be different. It's just sort of how that world works. And in general, I hope that the audience will find that this work is engaging as I do, and that it inspires some thought and conversation and further exploration. And I'm actually really looking forward to hearing from you what you were thinking about when you made the work. Oh, and you know, the one other thing I'll say, and this is just like procedural, but for those of you who included your thoughts about the content in the description, you know, thank you. I recommend doing that, because it really does help the juror understand. Like I will, because some of the pieces in the, I think that you'll find when people are talking about them, the connection to a story may seem a little abstract until you hear a little bit more about what directly from the artist. So you can only help yourself when you include what you're thinking about in the description. And a lot of you did that really well. So thank you.
Awesome. Oh, yeah. Is there anything?
Yeah, no, I think I'll stop now, because I want to hear from y'all.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and look at some art, and you know, we can, you know, I'm sure Michelle can chime in, you know, if there's anything, you know, as we look at the art, and if anybody has any questions. There are quite a few, so oops, wait, where am I? So, you know, just if we could take a couple minutes per person. And what I'll do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'll be scrolling through. So if, you know, I'll kind of call out, see if you're here and you want to talk about the work. So let's see, with that, does anybody have any questions or comments or anything before we get started with that? And like I said, I posted in chat, feel free to share your website, your social media, that way we can all connect and follow each other and get to know each other and grow our communities. So awesome, let's see. All right. So the exhibition, it's online under, you'll see on our website, current exhibition through November 18th, but then it's actually moved to past exhibitions and you can still see it. So, it's still the same link and everything. So just so you know. But the first artwork we have, Melissa Gomez, and I know you're here. Do you want to, I think, unmute and tell us about your work?
Sure. Hi, my name is Melissa Gomez. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I just wanted to start off that the show is really exquisite. I am really honored to be included in this group because I love the connections that Michelle pulled together. It's really a strong body, and I think they support each other. So I was thrilled to see the show live. It's really, really nice to see. This piece is part of a series that I started. It was a sort of a visceral reaction to Roe versus Wade, actually. And it was an exploration I was thinking about with women's roles in society and how they've changed and are not changing and regressing at times. And an elderly neighbor of mine passed away a couple years, and she had these photographs from her family that none of her children wanted. And it really broke my heart. And I said, of course, I'll take them. I don't know what's going to become of them. And they became this wonderful starting point and fodder for me to have this conversation for what I was trying to express with what's going on with women right now.
Awesome. And when you say a photographic illustration, I was curious about that. What exactly is your process with that?
Sure. So I do photography, I do graphic design, I used to do animation. I do a little bit of everything, and I like to take my photography and literally illustrate and paint with it. So it often becomes a starting point that I will then mix with other elements, paint on, draw on, add typography to. And I like to call it a photographic illustration because as opposed to starting with a blank canvas, I'm usually starting with a photograph as my medium.
Oh, awesome. Is the brain part, is that three-dimensional? Does it come off the piece, or is that actually part of a photo? Or
so I specifically used elements from Ernst Haeckel. I don't know if you are familiar with him. He was a botanist, pseudoscientist, a famous eugenist, unfortunately, and a racist who was interested in culling humanity and weeding out the lesser species in his mind. And so I intentionally used elements from his illustrations because I thought he was a perfect reflection of what men are trying to do to us today. Not all men, but men in government right now. And it's really driving me crazy at the moment. So I intentionally, in the whole series, I have some of his elements that I've mixed and blended with some of my own illustrations with these photographs of women in domestic life.
oh, awesome. I know it's really interesting. That's the one thing about online, exhibitions. It's kind of, hard, not a little harder to see, but at least we can
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So great. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. Is Kelly here? I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, yay. Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Kelly. I go by she, her, hers, and I am based in New York City. Yeah. So for my piece, this is part of like a larger series that I did where I was exploring themes about coming of age and my own feelings of, dealing with like insecurity and anxiety about like how the world like perceived me and how I perceive the world around me. And at the time, I was kind of just like looking around like different objects within my home and like, like my everyday like living space. And I had this idea of like, oh, what if I just like randomly stuck my head into like these like random openings of places that I shouldn't be putting my head into. And then I kind of connected it with like the analogy of like ostriches and how usually when they stick their heads into the sand, they think that, you know, they can't be seen and they are invisible, but in reality, they aren't. The world can see them perfectly fine. So in this piece, they're all like self-portraits of like just me putting my head into like different objects. So this is a washing machine. And yeah.
That is awesome. It just occurred to me, there's a photographer you should look at, Lee Materazzi. She shows
okay.
Point Gallery in La Jolla. She kind of does similar things with photos and a lot of different things. I think you'd really connect with her.
Great. Yeah, I'll definitely look into it.
Yeah, this is really wonderful. No, so
Yeah.
glad you're part of the exhibition.
Thank you. And I just also want to say thank you so much, Michelle, for putting on such a great exhibition and doing such a fabulous job curating everything and just taking the time to like look through all the submissions and like really making such a cohesive show.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right, Mittie, did I see? Oh yeah, you're here. Yay.
Hi, I'm here.
Sorry, I can't see everybody now on my screen, so.
Okay. Well, I'm here and this is my laundry room piece. And I did also want to say thank you so much. That I was so impressed looking at the show. I really enjoyed it. This piece is, I don't know if you guys can tell, it's paper mache, and I put in a couple of close-ups. So I kind of do, I paint, and then when I don't want to paint it, I make it. And then when I can't make it, I go back to painting it. So for me, that's really, it's like building a little bit. And my father was an architect, and I'm very interested in architecture, but like soft architecture, somebody called it. And also, I'm interested in how people build their lives, like how they, to me, it's sort of like a metaphor for nature, where you build your nest kind of, you know, and it's like a hornet's nest or a bird's nest, is how you make your environment. And I just love to, you know, I love how people do it, and I love to do it myself. I love to build environments.
Oh, fantastic. No, I love the three-dimensional quality of this. And I used to want to be an architect, but I hate math.
Me too. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah. So, but I still, you know, in different ways, architecture comes back. Yeah. So I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for including me.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Is Lua here? I don't remember seeing them come in. We can always come back if somebody comes later. I miss them.
I could throw in a comment too.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That helps. But I, you know, this person submitted a group of photos. I picked this one because it had, again, it was the most, it leaned in most to what I was thinking of, like laundry and clothing and domestic life. But she did a series of these photographs about, I think it's her grandmother's travel case. So mother or grandmother's traveling. And I thought I thought there was so much contained in the single image with the vintage case and the sort of shadowy reflection that I found it, or as a single photograph, really compelling. And then you know, y'all should go check out her website, see the rest of the images. So pretty. I went and snuck a peek. But they're really interesting. So
it really like makes you ask more questions about it and want to know more. It's kind of mysterious in that way.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. All right. And we have Laura Kern. Is Laura here?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, great. Hi.
Hi. It's been so nice seeing everyone and seeing the show for the first time today. I'm based out of PA or Pennsylvania, and I made this during the pandemic. I had been thrift shopping and I found the chair first, and it kind of struck me just because, you know, you can really see like the life it's worn. And as I looked closer, I saw all these different layers of paint that someone must have like reapplied and reapplied. So I found baby bottles and old lace that someone had given up, and I composed almost everything out of used objects because I just am really fascinated with the life that they must have lived before I found them. So I was really thinking about like two things. I was thinking about, you know, what we give to children and like the building blocks, and how like when your childhood is such a formative time. And in a broader sense, I thought about like how history repeats, and you know how through changing times with like the digital age, what are similar things we keep giving to children and how they might change, and environmentally like the ties to that too. So I really enjoyed like taking these older objects and finding connections to like my childhood in them.
Wonderful. It's a really powerful piece.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You know, it's amazing, like, you know, the different emotions and things we thought about during lockdown, isn't it? And what came up.
Yes.
Yep. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Kelly Johnston, are you here? I don't think they are. All right, well, we can come back, or we can, you know, if they show up, we can always come back. Let's see, and I think this was a detail. Let's see, Jamie Weinferter. Are they here? No, it doesn't look like it. All right.
You know, they for Jamie's piece, I can just say what they wrote on the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a reconstruction of a fainting couch.
Oh.
Yeah, right. So, but it's intentionally missing the aspects that make it functional. So it's, you know, it definitely discourages sitting upon it. The you know, the cushions are all torn up and they're full of grime, and the chair legs are unusable and stuff. And I also, when I saw this, I thought about, you know, this isn't something that she said, well, the title, Home Treatment for Female Hysteria, you know, thinking about like the way the term hysteria was used around the time when Freud was doing his thing, and it was this particular female condition, more or less made up but used to explain why women are the way that, you know, it's incredibly sexist sort of term that was applied to women. And so she's really kind of negating all that by making this thing non-functional.
There's so many layers to it too. I mean, I see a corset, you know, almost like the constrictor, you know, of women's corsets, and, you know, yeah, just the tearing out of the, you know, all the insides, and yeah, so many different layers to this. Really fantastic piece. Yeah, thank you. All right, let's see. Oh, Chick.
Hey there.
Hello.
So this was a body of work that I was doing right around the time that I was going to be having chest surgery. I'm a transgender person, and my pronouns are they, them, or he, him. And at the time that I was making these, which what they are is, I projected images of masculine figures onto my own body before having any surgeries. I had begun my transition, but I still had obviously my chest. And so I made this body of work before, directly before, I had the idea for like a year and a half, and I wasn't like making the pictures, and but then this date was looming where I was going to have my chest surgery, and I I guess I worked well with the timeline, so I scrambled and began making all of these pictures with the projections of bodies onto my own body. And then my computer crashed like the day before we were going to leave to go get my surgery. So I had to pack up my computer and take it to a forensic place outside of San Francisco, which was near to the place that I was having my surgery, to see if I could recover these photographs. Thankfully I did, but yeah, I just, so I guess it was a way for me to sort of envision my body the way that I saw it prior to me being able to actually see it. And then I also like in this particular image, the sort of the emergence. I feel like there's this emergence energy that comes out of it, like a molting, or, I don't know, the appearance of myself who I'd never really gotten to see before. Like I could sense myself within myself, but I could not, it was a frustrating experience to not see that reflected, to see what I see on the inside reflected on the outside. So it had a lot of that sort of turmoil in it. And then it had the turmoil of, oh my God, I've just lost all my pictures. But anyway, this is one of the photographs that I made around matters of my transition.
Wow, so powerful. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm so glad you got the pictures back.
Oh my God, me too.
I bet that was a huge relief.
Oh my gosh, it was like, oh, wow. I got them back. Phew.
Yeah. I know, it's interesting because, I know like your other photographs that you've been doing, and I'm like, wait, what did they turn in?
Right.
They stood for this.
Right.
So no, I
Right.
love this more personal aspect.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Carrie, is Carrie here?
Yes,
Oh,
I'm here.
great. Hi.
Hi. I'm located just outside of LA in Agora Hills. So I'm super happy to be part of the show. Thank you so much. This piece is a tribute to my mom, who suffered from dementia and for many years. And I actually dreamt this piece one night. It was around the time where she didn't know who I was. And so I'm a ceramic artist. So I woke up the next morning and I just literally made this piece. It took me more than one day, but not very much longer. And so her body during this time was very strong, which is surprising for someone who's so far gone mentally. But her body was so strong, and yet she didn't want to be touched. So the spikes represent that resistance of don't touch me. And then her head is full of holes because there's no more memories to retain, and nothing is left inside her brain and her mind. And then you can't really see it in this picture, but there's a white like crackle coating that kind of there's more of it on the other shoulder. And that represents her former self, who she used to be, this eroding of her former character, this beautiful, amazing woman. And there's very little left. She has since passed away, this about a year and a half ago. But this was kind of my tribute to her journey through dementia.
Wow. So powerful and yeah, and meaningful, and gosh, Yeah,
Yeah.
all the symbolism.
Yeah, and on the back is I scratched kind of like lines of like, you know, where you would write on a elementary school paper or something, and I just wrote mom over and over and over again on
Mm.
that. So
Oh, beautiful.
yeah, thank you.
Wow. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And, you know, I just want to say, and, you know, thankfully, like, you know, we have the sizes of how, you know, how, I mean, you know, I thought maybe it was small, but it's actually kind of, you know, it's like over a foot.
Yeah.
And, you know, just a reminder, like all the work's for sale through the artist. So you can contact the artist if you want to purchase anything. But no, it's really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. And Carolyn, is Carolyn here? I don't know if I saw them come in.
I think she is not here.
Okay.
Yeah, and she didn't necessarily say a lot about this work, but I felt like there was just so much in that single image, the sort of wrenching open of the, you know, of this female body, of this kind of exposure and loss kind of inherent in the image that I thought was really compelling. And it's called Becoming Visible, Rage to Grief to Seed, which, you know, and I don't know if this is a direct response to what's been going on lately, but it could certainly be interpreted as that.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you. Okay. Ruby. I know Ruby's here.
Oh, wait.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
Hi. I actually feel honored to be selected in this show. Thank you, Michelle and Shoebox. It's an honor, and I'm amazed by the quality of work here in this exhibition. In my work here, I've expressed my story, a chapter in my life that was very dark and alive at the same time, where I went through a very difficult pregnancy, and like I was faced with a life and death. So I burnt the edges of the canvas to show that struggle, and I've traced my body with charcoal, and I've used oil paint, reds to express womanhood. Yeah, and that's much about it, about this work. Thank you again.
Thank you, Ruby. It's a really beautiful and powerful piece.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's see. And we have Renee. I think I saw Renee here.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Hi.
Again, also thank you, Michelle and Christine, for helping put this together and doing all that hard work. And I'm really loving all the work I've been seeing. And when I got to see it earlier, it's really a great group of artists. Yeah, so this piece is 4 feet by 4 feet mixed media painting, and it's titled Raw. I have been working on this few years now on a series of paintings and sculptures that Red series, which really are mining the changes of wounds from beginning to all their stages of bright red to necrotic thick, and I really build up the surfaces, and it's a very time-consuming endeavor that I gave myself for every single piece. So of course I work on several at a time, but at this scale they are very time-consuming. But I am very, very interested in what's underneath, and in mining this idea of wounds and their effects on the mind and the body, over the course of having them. And some of them, of course, we know we have them and we don't see them. So this is really a pulling off of the surface to see what lies underneath. And this whole investigation that I'm doing through this work is really ripping it off for myself. Really just looking at what is lying underneath all of this skin and thinking about all of the things we go through, you know, the hurt, the pain, and yet we still make it through, right? And even in the beauty of the changes of a wound, I mean, I find them very beautiful. And so there's this duality, right, of this pain and beauty and how they are locked together. Yeah, and so the surfaces they range from being very thick to almost, well, some of them are translucent, and really working to find the various colors of wounds from the beginning to the end.
Wonderful. Yeah, you can really get a sense of the power behind the piece and within the piece, and the power in the process of creating the piece. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And
I think you have another piece also, yeah, that we'll talk about when we get there.
Sure.
Or actually, oh, is it next? Oh, it's next.
Yeah, it's next.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, and this is another piece called "In My Dream, I Forgave Myself," and this is a box that is got the same mixed media work on the outside of it, and you know, the proportions are similar to a coffin, similar to a bed, and this breaking up and out of this confine. What that material is are the disassembled pieces of window screen, because I also use window screen to create much of my sculpture, and I always keep it as I pull it apart. So I keep these bags of just these strands of window screen, because I think they're beautiful. And I think in that fragility, and of course in the combination of them as they get all entangled, there's this strength. And again, it is the way I look at the world and look at life, how entangled everything is and how fragile and yet strong they are together, or we are together, or I am when I am together. And it's a matter of really just busting out. And I actually did have a dream where I looked at myself and I forgave myself for something. So this also has, it's very deeply personal, but I think also as women, we carry so much with us. And as we go through the world, it just gets compounded and more gets thrown on our shoulders, and whether we want it or not, whether we have anything to do with it or not. And so this is a matter of a way of releasing and forgiving.
Wonderful story, wonderful sentiment. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, thinking about the size, you know, you said it's like the size, you know, it's the proportions of a coffin or bed, and it's on wheels. Do you show it on the ground or do you show it on a pedestal?
Well, I show that on a pedestal, and the wheels are, you know, to keep me moving, right? So that I don't get stuck.
I love that.
Keep going, you know, you just keep taking it with you.
Exactly. Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, and there's a detail of it too with the back. Yeah, really powerful. All right. Is Lee Balan here? I don't think I saw them. All right. And Lynn is here. I know that. Hey, Lynn.
I am. Hello. I am here.
Hey.
And I am not. I'm not showing myself. I turned the video off because, you know,
She is, yeah.
to be here, and thank you so much, Michelle. And I was just thinking, like, looking at the placement of this, how much I'm loving it in the sequence. Piece, I don't know, it really makes me happy. I have I kept a lot of the red in this piece, and I
Uh-oh, did we lose her? I think
Oh.
her internet connection is really bad. So we
Yeah.
may have lost her. Oh, she's still on. Lynn,
I'm
you're
still
cutting out.
on.
Oh,
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you cut out for a second. We thought we
Okay.
lost you.
Yeah, I know. It kind of went away for a second there. But anyway, I'll keep talking and hopefully you can hear me. So overall, my practice is really dealing or going from photographs, old photographs, either my own or found photos. And the narrative really begins with me asking a question. Like I found this photo, and it was actually originally a black and white photo, and I just interpreted the colors, and there's just something compelling about this photograph. So much antipathy coming from children, these kids, towards the photographer who's ever photographing them, and the little girls like pointing this ray gun directly at them, and the little boy sitting down has this like really violent looking gun. I'm hoping it's a toy. So I stripped away all of the fussiness of the background and thing that tried to kind of get this sense of
Was she finished or did we lose her again?
I think we lost her again.
Ah. All right, Lynn, we lost you again.
can you hear me now?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I keep seeming to go away, so maybe I'll just stop talking now. But yeah, it's well, yeah, I don't know. I got interrupted, and I got my flow interrupted. Yeah, it's really that, just trying to bring out the narrative that comes to me from these photographs.
Mhm.
Am I still here? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a little disjointed. Sorry about that, but
No
I'm glad I'm
problem.
here.
Well, thank you, Lynn. We're glad you're here too.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. And in case you're in the LA area, Lynn is opening up for the Brewery Art Walk. So, and me too. So if you're around and want to stop by, we'd love to see you. She's upstairs in my studio. So, all right, let's see. Piper, is Piper here?
Yes, I am here.
Oh, great. Hi.
Hi. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, great. I'm Piper. I'm from South Carolina. This work, Growing Pains, is an oil painting that I did recently that really just has to do with feminine rage, really, specifically at the adolescent, like teenage years, because that's when the anger seems to bubble up the most in my experience. And really, this was a portrait of my younger sister who was having a hard time dealing with anger in her teenage years. And I just find that to be such an inspiration because it's something that we repress a lot when you're older, especially as women. So she's my muse for this painting.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you. I love like the negative space, how the screen, the work is split and all of that negative space at the top just mimics, the tension and the kind of the, what's going on mentally. I love that.
Yes, thank you. I tried to get that to contrast with the sharp, angry lines on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think the lines in the compressed palette are really interesting. The way that the lines in the couch become the lines in the person. Vice versa.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Piper.
Thanks.
All right, let's see. And then Emily. Is Emily here? Singleton?
No.
I don't think so.
I think these photographs are it's like it's a multiple exposure, and it's her, and it's like 3 versions of her.
Okay.
And a series of these works about sort of, again, kind of coming of age and finding one's identity and finding one's place in the world and who you are and so on as you explore different aspects of yourself.
Yep, I love that. I'm still doing that. Oh, great. Thanks for explaining. All right, let's see. Is Norman here? Norman Aragones? I love the look on her face.
Yeah, a very complete story being told in a single photograph. I thought was...
Yeah. And I totally want that castle to paint. I used to paint little girls' furniture like that. All right, Adeola, I know you're here. I think she was.
She was here.
I'm still here. I just had to mute myself. Yeah.
Hey.
So this is a piece that I did during one of call and response, and it was also during the time of the unrest, and this was my reaction or expression to the George Floyd. As a mom of, I have a son and a daughter, and my son was about the same age or close to, and the pain and the anguish of that. And it was perfect with the call and response. And when I had to do my response to the person, I decided to do the performance piece that talks about what's going on and how I'm feeling and how I'm expressing my anger and just trying to take it in. So this was a performance piece that I did. And it's called Hat Heavy.
It's really powerful. And I watched this the other day. It was just, I mean, just the emotion in your body and how you use your body to express with no words except for what's on your hands. But, you can get that, just that feeling, yeah, it emotes this really powerful feeling.
Thank you. And just to show love at the time, that was the essence, that we feel these going around, you just feel like everything's caving in. And even though I do a lot of work and things that are not just necessarily painting, the best way for me to express that emotion and that feeling, that story was with the performance piece rather than painting, doing that, which I did some other in the series, but this was one of them.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I found it really moving. And I encourage you all to watch the video so you can hear the sound.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, let's see. Liliana.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. I'm super grateful. There's a lot of talent. I'm from Sacramento. This piece, Red Room, is a part of a bigger series called Transition. Transition was, there's about 5 pieces, and each piece has a woman or feminine figure that is resting, sleeping, dreaming, kind of in this transitory state. And she's surrounded by kind of these whimsical floral motifs. And a lot of these motifs are from a storybook, a Soviet century-old storybook by Gega Bedaryov. This is his Russian name. And that is just kind of the general introduction of the work. And the more transparent version of it is that this figure is my mother going through her transition after an unfortunate diagnosis. And it was really hard to part with her, and I kind of caught myself taking a lot of mental photographs, and she in her last moments was recalling a lot of fairy tale stories that she used to read to me, that her mother read to her when we were little girls. And it just kind of happened. The work, it kind of like came over me, and really it's been hard to make anything after that because it had so much impact on my life. And yeah, so here it is.
What a beautiful story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And these are really, really monumental in size, right?
Yeah, it's 8 feet, or it says right there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it's worth pointing out because that makes a difference, I think.
Definitely, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, is Jennifer here?
Someone here. I can read what she wrote.
Okay.
Just digging through yeah. Okay. So Spring Rain is part of the Wasteland series. It's a series that explores dislocation, disintegration, dismantling of family, and upturning of norms, a world on its side. The body nature fragmented, amputated, submerged, trees reach out with no arms, houses try to stand without foundations.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's I mean, I think that collapsing house and this sort of ghostly figure really spoke to me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love like so much of the work. There's so many layers to it on so many different levels. And, I mean, again, that's why I love artist talks, but, the more we hear the behind the scenes and the more we look, like when you're, after this, go back and like, just look at each piece, and spend some time with it and look at the titles and look at the medium and, so you can really get a sense. And, I mean, you can see so far, everybody who's been talking, it's, this work is really deep. On many levels. So, so think about the work in that way. So thanks for talking about that.
This little group of 3, the one before this one and the next one, all had this feeling of fairy tale to me of in one way or another. So that's why they're together.
Yeah, perfect. And I know April's here.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello.
Well, first of all, some of the work is just passionate, inspiring, just phenomenal on so many different levels. not just the pieces themselves and the mediums used and the I want to say effort or just like the exposing of themselves and putting it on canvas. Just amazing. Or not just canvas, in all kinds of ways. That video, another amazing piece. Now with this one, I don't think I have had much of an amazing story. But it started, I think, sometime last year. During the times of our last president, and after his rejection of accepting the results, you know, going on the internet was a very tricky thing because you would just see so many comments all the time from such hateful people. And I would look at their profiles, and I'm like, okay, this person is exactly who I think they are. And then I would look at their pictures, and they would always go to such beautiful places, nature and outdoors. And of course, they're like hunting and stuff, or like drinking and like jet skiing and stuff, but beautiful pictures. So I grabbed a few, you know, and when I thought about making this piece, I was just not wanting to be here anymore, just wanting to be someplace else. And I wanted to have someone stepping through a doorway. When it came to, but the piece wasn't finished. It was only partially completed. It wasn't, in my opinion, wasn't completed. And there was a call and response recently that the theme was time. And I thought of this piece, and I thought of the person stepping out of this time and into what I would think was a better time, a better place, you know, because this place, you know, especially a couple of years ago, wasn't the best place to be. Still not the greatest, but I don't know, at least we don't have the former president as president anymore, I guess, because that has limited a lot of there's a different kind of like hate going on nowadays. But yeah, that's the story behind this. Someone stepping from where they're at into another place, and you know, you always think it's going to be better, but not necessarily so. But thank you for including me with all these wonderful pieces, all this wonderful work. Yeah, I don't feel worthy in a lot of ways because some of the work is just phenomenal in my opinion. Yeah. Okay.
Get over that. You know, I mean, and you said you don't have anything to say, but what you said was important and, you know, and totally worthy. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful piece. And just hearing about where you got the photos from, I never thought of it that way. But, you know, I have a family member who's that side politically. They go to all these beautiful places all the time. And I'm so jealous. And it's like, oh yeah. But no, thank you. It's, you know, it's another, yeah, something else to think about, another layer to think about. So thank you for, you know, for challenging us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's see. Is James here? I don't know if I saw them come in. All right, let's see. Catherine's here.
And I'll just say, I thought, you know, although these kind of allusions to Cold War era spycraft, or, you know, I mean, maybe it's not Cold War era, but that's what I thought of, or 19 World War II era, maybe. No, it's Cold War. Yeah, just get out the car again. Were kind of interesting and entertaining, and it was fun in my mind just building a story out of these little snippets and little bits of observations that I thought were interesting. And Now, for some reason, I like this one and the next one together, even though they're really about something, they're not about the same thing at all, but there's something ominous about, but I know Catherine's here, she's gonna talk, but there's something really ominous. And then it gets more ominous with hers, so.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, thinking about Cold War, I watch a lot of like murder mysteries and like, things like that. Some of them are, period pieces, and, even if they're contemporary period pieces about the war, about the Cold War, I mean, the themes are the same, the things that are going on now. And so, that there's that extra layer, that added layer to really think about. So, yeah, awesome. And Catherine then.
Hi, good afternoon. Really, really strong pieces of artwork today. I'm just really quite blown away. So I'm doubly just stoked to be in this exhibition. So thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Shoebox. So when I started this painting, I really didn't have a story or a meaning at all. I had done, when I travel, when I'm in airports, I do a lot of sketches because people are just sitting and they're really still because they're sleeping or they're watching something on their device. So, and I was trying to think of what I should do with all these sketches, and I was messing around one day on a big piece of paper, and I decided to put all these sort of individual figures together, and I was playing around with them, and I suddenly realized that actually they look really quite good grouped. And as I was grouping them, they kind of started to look like an audience that's a very bored audience, but an audience anyways. And then I kind of thought about, well, what are they watching? What are they in an audience for? And because I do a lot of nude painting, nude figures is something that I kind of do. And so it just seemed kind of natural to sort of put this figure in. And I was messing about with this perspective at all. And the kind of the story sort of emerged from there, really. And it reminded me, I saw it as a sort of reflection on life and how that we're all really bombarded by images. We're bombarded by politics, we're bombarded by war, we're bombarded by culture, we're bombarded by sex all the time, that we've become just totally sort of detached from it. We've got a certain inertia to it and a certain numbness to it because it's just hitting us all the time. And so that kind of worked into the sort of coloring that I used. I wanted my audience to be quite bland. And I wanted the figure to sort of radiate this color like it was like a screen. And the woman is being objectified, but we're just so used to it now that it's just not, no one's really paying attention. And yet the colors, I was using a lot of greens and blues to kind of hype up the feeling of unease and kind of mystery to it as well. So the colors became very important in trying to sort of relay that kind of that message. And the shadow that's in the front was a kind of an accident. I was trying to use different mediums, but it kind of worked because it's sort of a shadow of the woman, but is it? And I don't know, it kind of works quite nice on that sort of level of it's just floating there rather ominously. So yeah, I got to say, but yeah, so it was really nice to actually come to do this journey with the painting of not really knowing where I was going, but suddenly the story sort of emerged from it as I was going along, and realized that actually it said quite a lot for what I wanted to portray. So yeah.
No, I love that. You know, it's amazing how, yeah, when things just come together like that with that. And I love the shadow. It's, yeah, it represents so much. Oh, it's a fantastic piece. Do more of this, Catherine. All right, thank you. Let's see. Michelle, is Michelle Randall here?
Hi, I am here.
Hello.
Hi there. This is a really small piece. I see it takes up a lot of space on the screen. I'm Michelle Randall. I'm from Pennsylvania, and I just want to echo my admiration for the other artists and my appreciation for the work that went into this exhibit. My piece is made using cyanotype, which is a lot of the series of work that I do, and I create collages using different elements, often that are of current and contemporary nature. So I just happened to, didn't just happen to, but obviously was thinking very much about the decision with Roe v. Wade, and was working on this a few weeks before the announcement occurred. And just finding pieces around me, a pregnant woman from a magazine that I cut out, some plant matter for the head and the pregnancy, the pregnant belly. And I also work with single-use plastic, just as another element of, let's say, a continuation that never goes away. And I think what I really started to think about with this piece is kind of the agency of the body, or the romanticization, if that's a word, of pregnancy, and these ideas that are built upon our expectations of what our role as a woman is, and having the petals for the head, and the fetus really has a very limited kind of lifespan, and this ideal moment of pregnancy has a very limited lifespan, if it is at that point. And I just was thinking about many of those aspects when I was making this piece.
Oh, really wonderful. It is interesting, like the perspective as far as size. I'd love to see this in real life, to see, like, because oftentimes, the small work, you get up close to it, so you can really see what's in there. And so, yeah, the shift in perspective, in the size, makes a difference. But
yeah, and I do like working with those smaller pieces, because it, is very reminiscent of family photos that you keep in a stack and you kind of go through and look back on.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. And Ariel Romano. Is Ariel here? Oh, hi.
Hello. Thank you so much, Christine and Michelle. It's an honor to be included in this show. My name is Ariel Romano. I hail from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I started making oil paintings that referenced little still lifes that I was putting together. I started doing this during COVID because I was feeling really nostalgic. Oh, sorry, there's some sirens going on in the distance. I was starting to feel really nostalgic, and I think a lot of other people were too at that time, like watching old reruns and things like that. But I started going through a lot of my old childhood toys and incorporating them into my paintings, sort of looking back on that childhood innocence as like a divine time of mine, and really like looking back on the past with a lot of good sentiment. And this painting in particular is about like old sparks of electricity, old relationships, and you know, something that may have lit the past in some way. But also, I think for me, this painting was about really looking on those times as moments of growth rather than like heartbreak, you know? So knowing that there's so much that I've learned over the time past from here and now, really that it's about the journey and about holding what you find most important close to your heart. And typically what I have most important is like tucked away in my closet in a box somewhere. So yeah, that's what I have to say about my work. Thank you again.
Wow, thank you so much. I think I told Michelle when I first saw this, I thought it was a photograph of like a three-dimensional space. I mean, and on my computer, I know it's, you know, every computer is different, but like the neon is a little brighter. And so it really stood out. And no, it's a really wonderful piece. I mean, conceptually, and, you know, it's really well done.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate hearing that. I strive for sort of a photorealistic effect. So it means a lot to hear that. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Let's see. Carol, and I don't think Carol's here, or is she? Did she sneak in?
I don't think she's here. I think she said she was going to try and make it, but she'd be a little late. So
Oh,
maybe
okay.
she shows up.
Okay. Yeah, if she shows up, we can come back to it. Let's see. Is Amy here? I don't know if I saw Amy. And there's her work is here, and then there's also a detail of her work.
There's some detail. Yeah, she uses old photographs, office supplies, atlases, and other ephemera that she finds to kind of weave them together in these composite images. But I thought it was interesting, and there's she submitted a bunch of these, and it was hard to pick. They're all kind of interesting. But there's a kind of a juxtaposition, I feel like, between this very like business-like folder with those tabs that all seem really corporate, and then this kind of vision of like some lovely place that you'd rather be.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all can feel that. Great, thank you. Let's see. And Melissa? Is Melissa here? I don't think so. It's hard. It's crazy. It's hard to believe this is, I mean, not hard to believe, but it's this is colored pencil on paper.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing. And she also wrote in the notes that it is a representation of an Afghan blanket that was crocheted by her late mother, who was murdered by her ex-lover when she was a young adult.
Oh, wow.
And so this drawing is a sort of a portrait of her mother and of the knot she made, you know, as she's crocheting, as an act of remembrance. And then she says, memories revive, not by knot.
Wow. Really wonderful. Thank you. Let's see. And Madeline Molina?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
That's me. So I'm based in Kansas, and In Loving Memory is kind of an ode to my grandmother. During the time when I was making this, she was in her final stages of battling cancer, and how quilts are kind of a tradition that's passed down from one generation to the next, usually through the maternal line. And even though she didn't teach me how to quilt, I learned that from a friend, but it still feels very reminiscent of family traditions for me.
Yeah, really wonderful. It yeah, the materials that you use to, you know, to create, you know, this quilt, it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. it was like a full year to make it. It was definitely a labor of love, to say the
Yeah.
least.
Yeah, I love how artists are using, whether it's paper or ceramic here or, different materials to create these quilt-like, to represent what the quilt means, exactly what you were talking about. I know Debra just got here and we'll talk about hers in a second, but I feel hers is the same way, made with Post-it notes. I'm like playing with my Post-it notes right here. So yeah, no, I love that. Thank you so much. All right, and let's see. I think I saw Lee is here. Is Lee still here?
Yeah, hello. Can everybody hear me?
Hey, yeah.
Hello, yeah. My name is Lee Ellis. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I currently live in Avignon, France. So it's a bit late here, but yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of this exhibition, and it's amazing hearing everybody's process and stories. It's amazing how much unfortunate death seems like that's involved in a lot of these works, but I think it makes it that the memory of that person kind of lives on forever because it kind of gets to travel throughout all these, exhibitions and shows. So it's cool. My work is all created out of Post-it notes. I use Post-it notes because it kind of reminds me of before I identified as an artist, when I was working desk jobs or just having breaks, I would sketch a lot, and usually I wouldn't have my sketchbook all the time on me, so I would use Post-it notes. And so I started to incorporate that into a body of work. It took me a while to really find my voice as an artist, to make me feel that I can say like, yeah, I am an artist, but I really resonate with these Post-it notes. This particular piece was created for a call that was supposed to be about the Black experience. So in this piece, I have familiar Black figures in American culture, as well as people in my life, friends and family, and some other Google imaged Black people as well. And I wanted to kind of have a contrast of, well, the title of the piece is Most Black Kings Create a Legacy, which was kind of an homage to Jean-Michel Basquiat's Most Young Kings Get Their Heads Cut Off. So I wanted to create a duality between showing Black figures that have created a legacy, continue to create a legacy, and just ordinary Black folks that are still creating their own legacy. I didn't put any eyes in any of the figures. I feel that the eyes breathe a little too much life into the piece, and I just didn't want to. There's a lot of figures that you can clearly see who it is, but some are a little bit ambiguous, and I like to keep that ambiguity so maybe people can identify with it. But yeah, this is about 100 Post-it notes, kind of like my second smallest piece. But I think the Post-it notes are great to create to show the power of the collective, to show that, yes, we're all individuals, but together we can come together to create something bigger than ourselves. So yeah, thank you guys for listening.
Wow, thank you so much, Lee. And I'm sorry I missed that this is also made out of Post-it notes.
Yeah.
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 It's a really amazing use of such a humble material.
Yes.
It's so
Yes.
transformative. It's great.
Are you continuing on and continuing on with the Post-it notes and doing more portraits?
Yeah. So right now I'm creating a piece that's not all Black people. This one's called Everybody Always. It's an homage to a book that I can't remember the author, but it's called Everybody Always, kind of about just showing love to everybody. But yeah, I think the Post-its is kind of my thing, I really enjoy it, and I think I'm gonna stick with it. It's very, very tiresome. Like to create a piece and to kind of, sit with each Post-it and then draw each one and remember that, oh, it's going to be beautiful when it's done. When it's done is just, that's the hardest part. But
well, I think they're wonderful individually also, but yes, definitely as a collective, it's a really amazing and powerful piece.
thank you.
And thank you. And I'm jealous that you're in France. Thank you for joining us, being so late.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, let's see. And I think probably Debra next. I knew that was coming. And Debra, I think you just got here. Are you still here?
Yes, I am. I am in transit.
Well, you made it. Yay.
Image come out. I mean, it's the art that's important. So I'm honored to come after the recent the artist that was just speaking, because at first glance you could definitely see a lot of commonality between the approach. This work came out of a book that I had done for the Craft Contemporary back when it was called the Craft and Folk Art Museum. And I participated in a show they had called Chapters, Book Arts in Southern California. And they had some folks create interactive works or books for the show that the visitors could add or subtract to or draw on or do what have you over the couple of months that the show was going to be up. So I created a book primarily out of office supplies, although I did use bookboard. It was a flag book. It was resurfaced in file folders, and then each page was a series of pockets. Each sounds very elaborate. Each pocket had a window, and there were colorful file cards and drawing and writing supplies that people could write a message on and slip it into the pocket, which would be seen on either side through the window. And then the participants could simply take those file cards out and put another one in. And the museum staff was very nice to keep all of them for me. And it was right in early 2017. So it was right as Trump was ascending, taking office, right after that 2016 election. So people were really responding to that. And I just kept these for years, thinking that I thought it was such a remarkable document of what the community was thinking and feeling in that moment. And then I finally started to stitch them together. They really eluded any control. I tried to work with color, and I tried to work with a theme, which I succeeded at to some extent. And it just became too big of a piece to really put everything together in one. So I created the 3 different approaches with a quilt and with hangings and so forth. And I was able to show it through 18th Street Arts Center during the pandemic at a show called, it had to do with empathy and connectedness and so forth. So when this show possibility came around, I thought, wow, this is, it's not only my story, it's a real collective story of what was happening, at that time. And, the pandemic wasn't even a glimmer at that time. So I feel like everything that people responded to is just magnified now. Trump is still a presence, unfortunately. And I'm just thrilled. I'm so grateful to Christine and Michelle and Shoebox for offering this opportunity. And really, with a lot of the works that are in the show, having it online where you can expand your screen, you can look at it on different screens, I think, and look at it anywhere in the world, I think is a real wonderful bonus. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, Debra. And I just love it's this whole show. It's individual, but it's also collective and universal. And on many levels. So that's what, it's a wonderful thing. So, and I love this project. I saw this work and I'm like, that's not what I normally know of her work. So I love that you submitted it.
Well, I love stitching, and you really have to.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to love it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. We have Janice. Is it Janice and Siha?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this project. I'm really excited about telling stories because that's basically what I try to do at my work. This particular piece, the quilted offering, is about exactly that, because I was thinking about quilts, and when I grew up, quilts were made out of old clothing. So people wore these clothing, each person had a story of their own. So I was trying to intertwine these, not only stories, but seasons and different moons and phases and life as time went on. So I sort of intertwined that in these remnant pieces. At the end, also at the same time making it an offering. As I grew up, we always had food around, and food was to me equated to like gathering and love, and so it was always wherever you went, someone was offering something like a cookie or a slice of cake or something. So I also wanted to include that as an offering, along with the stories that are intertwined within the quilt. And I really love color in my work, so there's always a burst of color and energy in my work each time I do it. So thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to be a part of this project. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you so much for participating. And, I think the lovely energy of the painting is magnified in you too. So, thank you for telling your story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Let's see. And Catherine Prock. I don't know if Catherine's here. I don't think I saw her come in. Let's see. All right.
I'll just say what she wrote about this. So it's called Nameless Women. It's a non-traditional book form that incorporates a bunch of different processes, and I believe that it's related to her own personal family history. It's kind of a diaristic piece, and I think it's even bigger now, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love that it's growing. That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you. All right. Let's see. Marsha. Is Marsha here? I don't think Marsha's here either. Did she say anything?
No, just other than process.
Okay.
But I think the title is pretty evocative.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's lovely. All right, and let's see, T Stone. I don't think I saw anybody with that name come in. Did they say anything?
No, but it feels like there's an entire internal sort of monologue being stitched upon this piece, across the face and in the hair and throughout. And once you start trying to pick it apart, you can kind of parse the story that's being told. I just think it's very interesting. It's worth.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. And oh, this is another one from Catherine.
Yeah. And this one's called, yeah, Sin Waiting to Happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Again, pretty self-explanatory, but it, that sort of, to me, what I was thinking about when I was looking at this is this idea of what women's bodies are, that women's bodies are inherently provocative. And so when she writes, a sin waiting to happen, her body holds a sin over and over. It's this idea that women are sort of blamed for having the bodies that they do. And that the responsibility for maintaining and protecting it falls upon them, that kind of thing.
Yeah, really great. Yeah, thank you. Let's see. All right. Is Gianna? Is it Gianna? I think I saw Gianna come in.
Hi. Can you hear me? Yes, it's Gianna. So hi everyone. Hi, I'm Gianna Rice. And just like everyone before me, I want to thank you guys for choosing my piece to be along in this art show, as well with all these other really great artists. So I'm a graphic designer, printmaker, and multimedia artist. The purpose of this piece, as well as a lot of my other pieces, was to discuss the struggles that Black women face when embracing the natural texture of their hair, as well as their appearance. And so this piece in particular came from frustration. I went to school in Bowling Green, Ohio, and originally I'm from Detroit, Michigan. So it was a culture switch, as well as coming from a city where you have a lot of people of different minorities and going to an area where it's predominantly white. It was a really big switch for me, and I didn't really think about it because you don't really think about those things until you face with these situations of microaggressions, as well as just people poking and prying at your hair and the things that you never really thought about before, because this is just how it's always been, and this is just how my family are, and I don't really have to think about this when I'm back in my hometown. But while I was in the city, I felt like I constantly had to defend or discuss the choices I made with my hair. And I was always the person that people came to say like, well, is this appropriation or is it not? And so that's really what this piece came out. And I really wanted it to be a more intimate piece, as well as like a discussion of just a lot of these things that I was getting questioned at the time. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. It's yeah, I mean, so important to have your voice and, for all of us to learn. So thank you. Thank you. Really great work. And I'm so glad you're part of the exhibition.
Yeah, I encourage everyone to really read the text.
Yeah.
It's important.
Definitely. No, thank you. All right, let's see. And I think I saw Carrie. Let's see, Carrie.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi.
My name is Kari.
Kari, I'm sorry.
It's okay. I am primarily a painter / drawer, but part of my daily practice is writing. And something that I find myself struggling with within like visual art and also my writing practice is like not knowing how to tell my story in a way that is like concise or fully encapsulates like the feelings that I have. So this piece kind of came about through my use of this typewriter I got from like Craigslist that I would just type my thoughts out onto every day, and kind of feeling frustrated with like all the fragmented thoughts not adding up to what I wanted. So I decided to keep the same page in the typewriter and recycle it so that I could kind of avoid like worrying about what I was saying too much, avoid like self-censorship, and like to give myself more freedom to just say whatever. And through that process, I feel like I got closer to some sense of like honesty And there were some lines that I thought were really good, but the thing about it is that they get obscured with more lines. But I really love the way that it turned out, because like as a reader of poetry, like it's those little moments that happen that like make you feel something. So I like looking at the lines that are kind of left open and the way that they have connected to themselves like accidentally, and finding the poetry in that. It was a pretty different way to work for me, but it kind of opened some doors.
Wow, I love this. I don't know if I could like type on a typewriter. I mean, because I have to see what I'm typing, and I want to be able to like, you know, or I don't know, I'd have to, yeah. And like once you start typing over it, you can't really read what you typed. And what about typos? You know,
Yeah,
but yeah, but I mean, I love the sentiment, you know, that once it's down, it's gone. And, you know, it's like, not that it disappears, but it gets dispersed somehow.
Right.
Yeah, I like that. Wow, thank you. And I just put in, check out artist Tim Yude, and I put it in chat. He does, he is typing out literature, typing out like famous books on like, you know, 1 or 2 sheets. I mean, over and over and over again. Yeah, it's really fascinating.
Cool.
Yeah, look at his work. No, but I love this piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the recommendation. Thanks for having me. And thanks to everyone that showed their work. It's really beautiful and powerful.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. I think this is, oh, Mark Tan. Let's see. And I think he's here, and it's the last one in the group. So I know you're all waiting for what's coming up. So Mark, are you still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, hi. My name is Mark. I'm originally from Toronto, Ontario, but currently I am based in San Diego. So this work is about like my migration process of being an immigrant here in the United States. So coming from Canada to here in the United States, and something that I've just kind of discovered, I didn't even know this was like a thing, but there's a form called Form I-94, basically that tracks any visitor or alien entering and exiting the United States. So if you go to one of the USCIS websites, you can type in your passport number, and then it'll give you like all the destinations of wherever you've traveled, coming to, from, exiting the country. And this is a way for like the Department of Homeland Security to track, you know, immigrants, or, you know, it shows your length of time, your stay. So basically what I did is I took all that information and I tracked all that into punch cards. So in the middle, there's a punch clock that resembles the Liberty Bell. So the 2 dots there with the slash, that's where you, that is like the form of the Liberty Bell. And what I'm doing with that is like I'm showing the amount of times that I've ever like entered and exited in the country, and the only reason why I can do that through a punch clock is because in order for me to stay in the country, I have to be working, so I have to, you know, it's all tied to labor. And then this year is installed at a gallery, and then they allowed me to have users punch in and out so they can kind of feel what it's like to be timed in a space. So right now I have over 500 collections, 500 timestamps of visitors beyond my 30 stamps in there. So that is it. And yeah.
Wow.
Really awesome. Yeah, so the collection continues to grow. I brought it here with me to San Diego. It's actually hanging on my wall, and I have people coming in and out, punching in and out every day, talking to me while I'm there working.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
How long do you live in San Diego now, or how long are you going to be there?
So right now I am an artist in residence at San Diego State University. So I'm here for the year.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just coming in, using the facilities at the art design program, and that's it.
Oh, cool. I'll have a show in March at Mesa College Art Gallery. So maybe meet up.
Maybe cross paths here. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. I mean, that was just really, really wonderful to hear all of your stories and to see all of the work, and yeah, really amazing. I mean, I don't even have the words exactly. So thank you. And I don't know, I realized, I don't know, I had the you know, the next thing is the prizes. So we have an online solo show that is curated by Michelle, along with a first place and a second place. And I had it up on my desktop, and I realized when I shared my desktop, you may have seen it. So I don't know, maybe not. Okay. So Michelle, do you want to announce the winners, or?
Oh, well,
I mean,
know.
I can, if I have it up if you want.
Yeah,
Okay, no.
go for it.
Okay.
I mean, I think I know, but I'd rather just
Yeah. And we'll and it was between, what we did was Michelle had a list of artists, and then myself and Shelley, my work partner. So the three of us, you know, we kind of voted based on that. And so, and it was hard. It was very hard. So
yeah, I will say if the original jurying was hard, this part was like way harder.
Yes.
I want to like, you all deserve all the things.
Exactly. So the solo show we gave to Catherine Prock, who has 2 of the pieces in the show. And the first prize of $100 goes to Renee Azenaro. So congratulations, Renee. And then the second, or the third place goes to Carolyn Ellis, and that's $50. So, and I'll be contacting you, Renee, and you know, about how I can pay you, you know,
Thank you so much.
the next couple of days. You're very welcome. And thank you all. You know, keep applying, keep working, keep telling your stories, you know, and doing what you're doing, because it's important, you know. And I mean, that's why this was really special today. You know, we need to continue to hear these stories, and they need to continue to get out there. So, you know, thank you all so much. And follow each other on social media. If you don't know how to save the chat, you can open up the chat window, and there's 3 dots, and you click on that and it says save chat. So as soon as you log out, a folder will open up on your computer, and like a note card, you can open it up and there's a note card and it has everything in chat. So that way you could go back and follow each other. So yeah, it's the best thing. You just have to do it at the end of your Zoom talk. Like I do it a couple times throughout, but it'll only save up to when you click save chat. So you have to do it like at the end. So, but thank you again so much. If you have any questions, check out our website. We have a, tomorrow we have a free photography for, you know, photographing your artwork, a workshop on Zoom. It's at 10 a.m. So there's a sign up form, and I'll be sending out an email probably when we get home later on, or tomorrow morning with the Zoom link. And we have one on November 13th, which is networking for the socially anxious. So, which I'm socially anxious. So we also have a 3-month workshop coming up. That's our professional development workshop that starts on November 12th. We have a free peer mentorship exchange. So what I do is, if you sign up, I pair artists so they mentor each other, and it's international. I've had at least 200 or 300 artists signing up, and then you can re-sign up and be paired with another artist. I've had a couple of artists in the Ukraine, you know, that have signed up, and I've paired them with somebody in London and somebody in India, and, you know, and it's amazing. So that's on our website also. So, and there's like resources and all sorts of stuff. So check out our website, shoeboxarts.com, and, you know, let us know if you have any questions. So thank you all again so much. And thank you, Michelle, for curating an amazing show.
Yeah, it was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all too. I mean, this is one of my favorite all-time artist talks. I don't know.
I feel like I know.
So
I
good.
want to say that because this is recorded, but
well, I can say it.
I know. I feel like it too. It was really special.
Yeah. Thank you.
All righty, and get some sleep, Lee. All righty, take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.